Okay, we're back to work on the old Model B block. The snow is just about gone. I didn't get line board or anything this winter, so the Babbitt on here is right at the end of its life, but it is passable. The only thing is the rods are not that good on the crank, so what the plan is going to be is we're going to, I have from Antique Engine Rebuilding their rods to put insert bearings in, so I got to send the crank out to get ground. Problem is when we put it between V blocks, it's running out about 5 thou in the center, or well, almost 5 thou. So obviously it's got to be straight to grind it. So we're going to straighten the crankshaft, and then it's going to go out just to get the rods ground, and then hopefully maybe next year we can make some more power out of a B block. There's another one over in the corner there. That one's going to get hopefully full inserts and hopefully much more goodies on it. Like I said, there's a header there for one. Yeah, the intake's around here. There's the intake on top of the block there. Oh, lots of junk. But yeah, we're going to show what it's like to straighten a crank. I'm only going to straighten it by peening, not going to be any pressing involved. And I'll show the apparatus we're going to use. Okay, the tool that we're going to use, it's not a cold chisel, it's a peening tool. Bring it into the camera, it's a little bit closer angle. It does have a nice radius on it. Well, the camera's going to pick it up. So on this Model B crank here, we use a radius checker here, and it's a 3/32 rad. So we make this on a 3/32 rad here, and then what we'll do is we'll put it in between this fixture here. The fixture is actually made. I was going to drill these cranks for full pressure, so actually that's what that's why it's a little bit fancier. It's fully adjustable. It's on a 1-inch key, so it'll be different lengths of crankshafts. But it's also keyed underneath for 5/8 key. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's got a 5/8 key for my Bridgeport mill underneath. But yeah, we'll get this guy in here and we'll show how I straighten these things. So we'll get this tightened up and we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I got between centers now. I just put the aluminum blocks on there just to keep it from bouncing whenever I tap. Like, you don't use too much force. But you can see here if the dial picks up, we're just right around 5 thou bent right now. So luckily it's only a 3-main crank, so we're only concerned about the center throws. Like I said, we'll use our chisel. It always works, and I don't know why it works like this, but it does. Is you bring it down to the low spot. I'll tap on both sides of the cheek, right in on the radius there, and we'll watch it move. This, I'll make it a little bit better, but I want to make a dial that probably sits on here. Right now I just have the dial mag done to the base. We're just working on a welding table right now. But you don't have to use major heavy blows. It's just a little bit more in a tap, but not a heck of a lot. Let's see here. I'll forgot to grab my hammer, so I gotta go turn the camera off and I'll go grab my hammer and we'll hopefully get this guy. I'd like to get it down under 1 thou, which would make me happy. So yeah, I'll go grab my hammer and then we'll give her a couple of taps. Okay, on this, the way the bend is on here, you can see it. Basically, it's in line. Right now, it's called in line on right on the 0 clock position. So that's on our low spot. So I'll see if I can do this without knocking it down. Oh, that moved it about 1 thou right there. And so I just, with a couple little hits, move it 1 thou. You don't take much. A little bit heavier here. Right there, we're just over 3 thou, so we're getting there. I don't know how well the camera will pick up that ringing or not. I mean, generally speaking, if it's ringing, it's a decent forging. This one I will set before anything happens. We'll go for magnafluxing because these cranks, especially at the snout here, have issues when they do crack and break off. So. Again, there we're just over 2 thou. Okay, you can see now we're just over 2 thou. So we'll give her another couple of bumps here. It's not like we're moving over those last 2 thou. We'll give her a couple more. Well, right there, we're just over 1 thou. No, I'll say 1.5 thou for argument's sake. One thing I do want to make for, like I said before, is I want to make some end stops. I might even make something with a little bit of a spring on it, just so it's not too tight. Well, we're under 1 thou now. I'm waffling. I won't hit it with a hammer, but I'm waffling on bringing a 10th reading dial out. I did mic this crank, but I didn't mic in every little spot. It's got a little dog leg in it, you can see. But right there, you bring the dial in, it's almost 0. Like I said, I'm curious if this thing might be a smidgen on around because it'll go in the high and the low. Well, we could maybe give it a couple. Okay, I did went and grab a mic, mic'd it. The journal is out about 1 thou any which way. So I think this is about as good as we're gonna get it. Like I said, it has that one little dog leg, and I don't know how well the camera's picking it up right now, but it stays 0 for about 75% of it. So I'm gonna call that good here. Probably when it comes back from the crank grinder, I discussed more. I think he's gonna grab it on here. I know it's not the best, but I think he's gonna grab it on here, dial it out there. Probably when it comes back, I'll throw in our big cylindrical grinder, and I'll probably just grind the face on there so I know the flywheel face runs 100% true to it. But yeah, so that's kind of crank peen in a nutshell. Like I said, you want to come in here there, and you can see here there's just a few marks left over. I don't know if you can see in here, right here. Come on this side here, maybe the other side here. If you can just see there, it doesn't leave any marks. I'll just polish that up. That's just kind of just a bit of crud and grit on there. So we'll get that polished up, and she's good to go for. First step is to go for magnafluxing, because if it's cracked, it's garbage. It sucks because so these counterweighted cranks are getting hard to get now, but I still have a few spares just in case. But yeah, this one's gonna go into that block. This one did run. This one I put about 1,000 miles on it. I mean, the main's right on the kind of the edge of it, but I mean it ran fine. So it never made any bad noises. The worst part on it, if you want to come up here and look at the crank gear, it's terribly pitted, and the cam gear is a fiber cam gear on there. It's just brutal. So the backlash, I think, is about 10 or 12 thou. So when we put, I got a nice bronze one from the guys. He's in California. It's Dan something out of California. So hopefully we'll get that set. Honestly, even if it runs, I think you're supposed to be 2 to 4. If it ran 5 in a used block like this, I wouldn't cry too much about it. It's just, I said, it's got to do me for for this year. Over next winter, if all goes according to plan, I want to build a real nice one. But I said, I want to do a full pressure one. That's the idea of this jig, is to actually so I can do a full pressure and drill for full pressure. That way if we have to straighten any other cranks. I think it was an old Model T one. I think they said after 12 thou, I wouldn't quote me on that, someone will probably correct me, after 12 thou you weren't supposed to put them into service anymore. I think that's what Ford had recommended, but this one was out 4 to 5, so we were able to save this one. So I guess I'll go to the crank grinder, we'll get the rods ground, and then yeah, she'll go back into service that block. I think we're gonna give it a quick bore. It's only 20 over right now. I think we'll probably bore it to 40. And yeah. hopefully make some power out of it. It's probably, this one's probably only got a C cam in it for right now, or a B cam, whatever you want to call it. But nothing overly special, just the Winfield higher compression head, the old Burns intake and a header, and light and flywheel, of course. Like, that's amazing. Like, was that the clearance, that thing being bent, there was no more than 2-3 thou clearance. So, but yeah, I'll come back in a minute and wrap this video.
Okay, go.
There we go. In case anybody's wondering, this is the jig that I made for straightening cranks and for straight peening them. All it is just, it's built up, no weldment, brass insert, so it is easy on the crank, no scarring. You can see it's relatively straight. Everything's within, you know, a thou. We dialed across this way. Keep in mind it is a cold rolled plate, so it does have a little bit of bend, but if it's, if it's fully clamped down to the table, trammed it this way, it was within 1 to 2 any which way, so for this stuff, more than adequate. The only thing is, you can see here the aluminum, I just quickly went by with a quick 45. I don't like that. I got to come back and make it a little bit longer, a little bit more like a bird's mouth, but that it'll do for right now. That way it's adjustable. You can see the hole every 2 inches, and the slot's 2.5, fully keyed with a 1-inch key, so that way nice and adjustable. You can do whatever the heck you want. And I said, one thing I got to do is you got to drill some holes for some countersunk flathead screws here, so I can bolt this down to the mill table once it's below the surface. But that'll be another day whenever I get off my my ass to pressurize the crank. Like I said, I do have a couple of junk. I have one absolute junk B crank that's going to be the first candidate to check this to make sure everything's good. I know I have the dimensions somewhere at home there to do it. So, but yeah, they said the peening chisel worked good. You can see where it's just kind of a little bit of dirt on it. So like I said, no sharp edges though. That would cause bad things. I know years ago we used to straightening by peening, and I think he used to use a hard bronze one. He argued that steel would leave damages, and I guess to a certain extent it does. But it's comical. My boss used to do like big locomotive crankshafts, like for the big EMD locomotives, and they used to use an air chisel to do it. But same thing. They used to re-chrome them and grind them. And they just used an air chisel. Every time they took them out of the chrome vat, they were bent, so they just put them between dogs with bigger V blocks and straighten them with an air chisel. So it's not rocket science, not the hardest thing to do in the world. Like I said, you don't need a fixture like this. You could get something less fancy, but I said this was made also for the drilling of them, and I will say it's a universal fixture, so I can use it for other things. So, but yeah, hopefully this will start spurring me on to get that Model A going here. So I think that'll probably wrap this video up. If you like it, like, link, and subscribe. Hopefully, like I said, this A you're going to see on the road this year. Hopefully. If not, oh well. That's bye for now.